concerns that the member has raised.
Question number 7, the Honourable David Parker.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister for ACC. Does he stand by his statement that if ACC was an insurance company it would be insolvent and that we need to get costs back under control?
The Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
Yes, I do. The dictionary defines insolvency as liabilities exceeding assets. ACC has liabilities of $22 billion and assets of $10 billion. ACC costs have more than doubled from $1.5 billion a year in 2000 to $3.2 billion this year.
The Honourable David Parker.
Has the Minister seen reports from Brian Fallow that the government's, quote, shrill scaremongering and scapegoating is gratuitous, and Rod Oram that there is a huge gap between the rhetoric of John Key and Smith and reality? And will he now concede that his exaggerations around ACC were irresponsible?
The Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
Mr Speaker, I note that there have been other commentators who have been very critical of the financial state of ACC, and I simply say to members opposite, if all is well as with ACC, why did the government need to bail it out for $300 million this financial year?
Michael Woodhouse.
What has happened to ACC's solvency over recent years?
The Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
ACC solvency ratios have been in decline over the last 3 years. The decline predates the financial crisis and has arisen because costs have been rising at 3 times the rate of inflation. 3 times the rate of inflation. I also note that ACC's liabilities increased rapidly by more than $2 billion in 2004, 5, 6 and 7, well before the financial crisis was anywhere near New Zealand.
The Honourable David Parker.
Has the Minister seen the report by Fran O'Sullivan in the New Zealand Herald on Saturday when John Key was quoted as having no room for phone throwers or tantrums at the top? And has the Prime Minister spoken to the Minister about his performance at the Select Committee Thursday before last?
The Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
Mr Speaker, yes, I have seen the piece, and I also have to say that I read Bill Ralston's piece, who said that it was a long time for a government to start taking into account the levy payers in ACC and ensuring the scheme is long-term viable.
Michael Woodhouse.
To the Minister, how does the Minister reconcile the claim by the opposition that ACC does not have financial problems with the fact that the non-earner account alone required a $300 million bailout this financial year and another $900 million over the next 3 years just to keep it afloat?
The Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
The member makes a good point. The $300 million bailout exceeds the total of the incoming government spending commitments on her Septon, on Plunket Line, on Restart, on the 9-day fortnight, on voluntary bonding and the student loans discount, all combined together. And of course, that only covers the problems in the non-earners account, not the other 4 accounts. We are grumpy on this side of the House because we had to get great effort. We went to great effort to be fiscally responsible and was blindsided by an over $300 million problem this financial year in ACC.
The Honourable David Parker.
Is the Minister still proposing cuts to the scope of ACC cover and privatisation of parts of the scheme when his main justifications have been demolished by the media? And does he agree with Fran O'Sullivan that there's a fine line between using the worldwide recession to force radical change and downright chicanery?
The Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
The facts about ACC's finances speak for themselves. The reality is that this is an organisation that had to be bailed out by more than $300 million, that huge levy increases would be required if we do not make change, and this government is committed to securing the future of ACC by improving its financial management, and we are going to look at reviewing the scheme to ensure it is affordable for ordinary New Zealanders.